Friends, just in the few moments before we're starting, I'd like to ask a favor. We quite unexpectedly ran out of song sheets. So if you look at your song sheet and you're a regular, you probably know these songs. So thank you, Steve. So some of our regulars may offer them up to others to share. I would appreciate that. It's a thrilling thing to run out of song sheets, but I do apologize. Ron's bidding a song sheet. Thank you, thank you.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
We are going to begin with our opening song, Ozi V'Zimrat, which is on page 647 in your prayer book.
Ozi V'Zimrat, as many of you know, as a friendly reminder, comes from the Song of the Sea. And this week happens to be the week we celebrated the beginning of Nisan, the month in which we celebrate Passover. So we brought this verse, Ozi V'Zimrat, God is my strength and my song, as a little tiny taste leading up to our Passover celebrations. Ozi
Now I'd like to call up Julie Kalnis to offer us some welcome and announcements.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm Julie Kalnis. I'm representing the Board of Trustees, and I would like to welcome you to the temple this evening. The beam of flowers this evening are in loving memory of Charles Kaminsky from Jeff and Kathy Kaminsky and family. Shabbat Yoga and Cantor Jen Rohrer and Amy Nistel will be on Saturday, April 20th at 10:30 in the morning. Mazel Tov to Stella Karas, becoming a bat mitzvah tomorrow morning, April 13th. The Seder will be on April 22nd at 5:30. Deadline for reservations is Monday, April 15th. Please join us for a kiddush in the hallway where we will have the opportunity to greet each other after the service. Shabbat Shalom.
We also have a special guest with us this evening, Avi Wisnia, for whom I will give a more robust welcome before he presents and sings with us tonight. And we are delighted that in a little bit, Estella is going to be leading the service along with the cantor and myself. As we have been doing since October 7th, we are thinking of and welcoming into our space and praying for the safe return of Eden Yerushalmi. She is 24 years old. She was at the Nova Festival in the south of Israel. She works as a bartender and enjoys life. So we are praying for her release very soon. So just as the cantor said, we are in this moment, the week, well, I suppose next week will be the Shabbat right before Passover, but we are certainly thinking about spring, noticing the beautiful green grass and the buds on the trees and a little bit of warmer weather. And it's just a reminder to us, which is what Passover is too, that seasons change and we change and our stories go along with us throughout our entire lives and throughout the Hebrew calendar. And so, just as the cantor said, we started with Oziv Zimrat Yah, and we are going to be here and recognize the beauty around us and the beauty of Shabbat. In order to begin Shabbat, we are going to light our Shabbat candles. The blessing is on page 120. And I would like to invite Mindy Kairos, Brian Burke, Estella, and Max Kairos to light our Shabbat candles. Choose one of those.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
And the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
The English.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you. Now go have a seat. Good job, Max. We're going to turn to our song sheets for Lechuna Ranana, one of our psalms for Shabbat.
Lechuna ranena, yai lai 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 lai, Adonai, yai lai 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 lai, Nariya, yai lai 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 lai, Turishenu, yai lai 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 lai.
turn now to page 144 for the Chatzi Kaddish. I would like to invite Estella up to lead us.
Yitgadal v'gadal shemei rabba.
Amen.
Ve'alma divura hivrute ve'amli malute
V'chayechon uv'yomecho uv'chayetecho Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala, ba'agala, uv'izman kariv.
Ve'imeru
Amen.
Yehei shemei rabba mevorach ve'alam lo me'amaya
Yitbarach.
Yitbarach v'yitbarach v'yitbar v'yitnoman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei Dekudasha Barichu La'elam min kal birchata v'shichirata
Tushbechata v'nechemata damiran belma.
Ve'imeru
Amen. Please rise for the Baruchu, page 146. Earlier this week, I imagine many of us stood outside for a short amount of time or a very long period of time watching the eclipse. Everybody like this, hopefully with glasses on. Judaism doesn't have much to say about eclipses. In fact, some of the rabbis thought that it was a bad omen when there is diminishment of the sun. However, another rabbi, of course, because this is what we do, there's multiple opinions, said that it is something that is a miracle, a work of creation that happened when we see an eclipse. And for some people, they went outside during that time, and at the moment of totality, they said the blessing, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, oseh ma'aseh v'reishit. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, maker of the works of creation. Even though it will be a very long time until we have a total eclipse in that way, depending on who you ask, how many years it will be, some 99, some 44, whatever it is, this is something that was a pretty much a singular experience. And yet, our tradition and our liturgy helps us to remember that each and every day we have the experience of the sun coming up and the sun going down. Again, a marker of the beauty and the beauty of creation. And we have a prayer about it called Ma'ariv Aravim, thanking God, blessing God for bringing on the evening. And so tonight we are going to be singing an interpretation of this prayer, which is also on your bright pink sheet, called Roll into Dark.
Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Go yom balayla, go leilor mipnei choshen, go leilor mipnei choshen, v'choshen mipnei yom. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Go yom balayla, go leilor mipnei choshen, go leilor mipnei choshen, v'choshen mipnei yom. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night.
Page 152, the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Shem kevod malchuto leolam va'ed. Baruch Shem kevod malchuto leolam va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. The Haftarah is on the following page.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anohi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Veshinentam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shiktecha bevitecha, uvlaptecha b'derech, uvshokbecha, uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha, uktavtam. Amezuzot beiteha uvisharet למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים אלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
The last two lines of the Ve'ahavta, if you look at the translation at the bottom of page 154, it says, I am Adonai your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. We are reminded over and over of our story as a people who were once slaves and who were freed by God's outstretched hand, mighty arm and outstretched hand, lifting us up on eagle's wings and bringing us into freedom. And this entire month of Nisan, followed, including Passover that's coming up, is our story of liberation and how not only are we about recognizing our own liberation, but we are to help others in theirs as well. And on page 158, we have our Song of Freedom, Mi Chamocha, which describes this incredible moment.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. I need a do-over. That was my fault. Sorry, Andrea. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi chamocha nezar b'kodesh. Children crossed the sea, they sang to you with songs of joy. Who is like you, Adonai? Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nezar b'kodesh,
Page 162, Vishamru, our song for Shabbat.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et haShabbat, לעשות את haShabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et haShabbat, לעשות את haShabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ.
Page 164, we rise for the Amidah.
Adonai sefatai tifta'u fi tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor B'Hanurah El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Gonei HaKol V'Zocher Chasei Avot V'Imahot U'Mevi Geula Livnei B'neihem L'man Shemo Be'ahava Melech Hozer U'Mashiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Abraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav Le'oshia Mechakel Chaim Bechesed Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Ramim Somech Noflim Derechei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Ba'gegurot Umidom Melech Melech Mimit Umechayeh Umatzliach Yeshua V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei hakol Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh U'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalalu chatzela Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. Page 175. You can read in the English together. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. Page 176, in the middle of the page, we have the words Ve'al Kulam, and it says, "For all these things, O Sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed."
Ve'al Kulam, Ve'al Kulam, Yitbarach ve'yitromam, Yitbarach
Beautiful, thank you. We'll turn now for our prayer of peace on page 179. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses your people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevorech et amo Yisrael, v'shalom. We'll turn now to page 371 for the words to the Mishaberach, our prayer for healing. In our community this week, we are praying for the healing of Marvin Jacobs, Lois Roth, Betty Benjamin, Richard Herman, Bonnie Ross, Cindy Bramson, Gordon Hirsch, and Yitzhak Halevi Ben Miriam, Cantor Ivor Lichterman. And to those names, we add the names of the people you are thinking of, the people in your communities and your families who are in need of healing on this Shabbat. We'll start over here. The words to the Mishaberach are on page 371. May they find a sense of wholeness and healing very soon. We'll take the next few moments for our own personal prayer.
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la.
I'd like to invite up our guest for this evening. Avi Wisnia is an award-winning singer, songwriter, and storyteller, an educator based in Philadelphia. He and his mother are here with us in Toledo. Maybe not tonight, but he is here with us tonight. He performs in prestigious venues around the world, from the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City to the Kennedy Center in DC, to concert tours in Japan and Poland and Brazil. In addition to being a performing artist, a performing recording artist, he has given a TED Talk and performed with the Moth Storytellers. He is featured in the documentary How Saba Kept Singing, which premiered on PBS. The film chronicles the travels of grandfather and grandson performing music together, as cantor David Wisnia recounts his incredible story of surviving the Holocaust by singing. Since his grandfather's recent passing, Avi continues to share his Saba's stories and songs with communities young and old, to educate and ensure that we never forget. Avi's father, of blessed memory, Rabbi Eric Wisnia, was the assistant rabbi here at Temple Shomer Emunim from 1974 to 1977. So we'll all direct our attention over to the piano, where Avi will share his wisdom with us tonight.
Thank you very much, Rabbi. Thank you, Cantor. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you for welcoming me into this space and welcoming back my mom, Judy, who's over here. She was here before I was. No. Yeah, well, and my sister was actually was born here, but she's back in Pennsylvania, so she doesn't get any points tonight. But regardless, this is a very special moment for my family, and I thank you for providing that, and also for providing space for us to share not just the story of how my father's life intersects with all of yours in this community, but also my grandfather's. My father was a rabbi and my grandfather was a cantor. And I saw how they both used the communal experience, especially leading from the pulpit, to create something transcendent. And even though as much as they tried, I never entered the clergy myself, but I did become a musician, and it's not lost on me just how transcendent it can be when we are all together, whether we are praying together in a sanctuary or experiencing music together. And in fact, a lot of my first memories of falling in love with music was making music with other people, with other Jews in the sanctuary. So I am going to start and end tonight with a song. And the song I'm going to start with tonight is a song that has to do with family. It was made famous by Sophie Tucker in 1925. And it was made famous in an area of New York City where when my grandfather came to the United States after World War II, he would go to get a little taste of his Eastern European heritage that was decimated by the Holocaust. And this song is a testament to those people that came before us, those people in our families who sacrificed and gave up so much so that we could have a better life. Of things I should be thankful for, I've had a goodly share. And as I sit here in the comfort of my cozy chair, my fancy takes me to a humble east side tenement, reflight up in the rear to where my childhood days were spent. It wasn't much like paradise, but amidst the dirt and all, there sat the sweetest angel, one that I fondly call my Yiddish mama. I need her more than ever now. My Yiddish mama, I long to kiss that wrinkled brow. I long to hold her hand once more, as in days gone by, and ask her to forgive me for things I did that made her cry. How few were her pleasures, she never cared for fashion styles. Her jewels and her treasures, she found them in her baby smiles. Oh, I know that I owe what I am today to that dear little lady so old and gray, to that wonderful Yiddish mama, mama of mine. Mama, I need her more than ever now. My Yiddish mama, I long to kiss that wrinkled brow. Oh, I know that I owe what I am today to that dear little lady so old and gray, to that wonderful Yiddish mama, mama of mine. Oh, I know that I owe what I am today to that dear little lady so old and gray, to that wonderful Yiddish mama, mama, oh mine. I'm going to hop up there for a second. A little bit of choreography. "50 years ago, my father was here serving the congregation, and this week, as my mom and I traveled back here from our home in the Philadelphia area, I've gotten to meet some of you who knew my grandfather when he was starting out as a baby rabbi. I got to hear how he officiated some of your weddings, converted some of you to Judaism, taught you Hebrew, taught you about Judaism. And even though he passed away just recently, his lessons and his teachings and all those life moments that he is a part of, that is a part of his legacy, and it really makes me smile, and it warms my heart to hear of these parts of his life and how he's a part of your life as well. He was supposed to be here. He had actually coordinated this trip that we were all going to take together as a family. And it was something that we were not sure that we were going to follow through on, if we were ready to make that trip and what it would feel like to be here without him. But I'm so glad that we did. Originally, he had been in touch with Marcy and so many of the people here because the story of our family and the story of his father was preserved in a movie that we made just before his father, my Saba, passed away. And it's the story of how he survived the Holocaust by singing. And that's why the movie is called How Saba Kept Singing. And some of you were here to watch that movie just a few nights ago. And I've spent a few days now traveling in the area with Daniel from Jewish Federation. And I've spoken at a few high schools and brought my grandfather's story there as well. And they've all been very meaningful and powerful experiences, and it's just been wonderful to get to know your community. And in so doing, I was just reminded, especially being at this pulpit, of how many times I've seen my father and my grandfather at a pulpit themselves. And they were different in a lot of ways, and they were also similar in a lot of ways. And I think similar in more ways than either one of them would admit to. But one of the ways that they were similar was they both had big, powerful, booming voices. In fact, if you were in a room like at a cocktail party or somewhere where you're supposed to be quiet, like a library for sure, you would hear their voice loud and clear, no matter if you were supposed to be quiet or not. You could always pick them out in a crowd. They loved being around people. They loved laughing and smiling and joking. And their voices were powerful. And I learned from my father and my grandfather just how powerful our voices are. Our voices have a lot of power to do a lot of things. They can help and they can hurt. They can save lives and they can cause incredible destruction. And our silence is powerful too. As a singer, I love using my voice to connect with others and create shared experience in much the way that my father and my grandfather, as congregational and religious leaders, were able to create shared spiritual experience. And in learning about my grandfather's story, a story that he held on to for so long because it was so painful and so tragic, the story that I heard growing up, and kind of the central theme of his story, was that my grandfather's voice saved his life during the Holocaust. In fact, my grandfather was a singer at a young age, and so when he was a prisoner in Auschwitz, the Nazi guards actually forced him to sing and entertain them. And in that way, he became kind of a privileged prisoner, and he was able to survive just another day. So music, my grandfather's voice, literally saved his life in a concentration camp. And it continued to sustain him through the rest of his life when he became a cantor, when he got to the United States, and he sang for the next 50 years, and he sang up until the moment that he passed away. He was always singing. In fact, a few years ago, when we went as a family to accompany my grandfather back to Poland, and that is what sort of the majority of the film of how Saba kept singing, this documentary, is our journey to Poland in 2020 to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, and how my grandfather reflects on his story as we are there in that moment. And I remember going there and being back in this place of Poland where these stories that I had heard growing up had happened. And we went back 75 years later to perform music there. And I watched my grandfather take to the stage, take to the microphone, and sing in full voice, no longer as a prisoner, but as a survivor. You know, when my grandfather first arrived in the United States, he still had his Auschwitz prisoner number tattooed on his arm, 83526. And he went through an expensive and painful plastic surgery procedure to have it removed. It was not a pleasant operation. Certainly plastic surgery is not even what it is today, and his arm was sliced open and sewn together in such a way that he couldn't sleep for a year, even as it tried to heal together. Until the day he died just 2 years ago, I could still see the curve of the 6 on his arm, that very last digit. It still remained there. That pain, that little piece of the tattoo, the scar, was still there. The tattoo number is such a cruel metaphor of the legacy of the Holocaust. Right? Even after being liberated from such a horrible place, even when they are no longer prisoners, are they ever truly free? How deep does the ink go? As I have been traveling with our film and keeping my grandfather's story alive and telling it, I keep thinking about the tattoo. That prisoner tattoo was a very strategic device
that the Nazis used to strip away the humanity from the people that they sought to persecute. Because it is easier to be cruel when you stop regarding another human being as a human being. And my Saba's story is full of examples of what happens when we stop regarding one another as human beings. And his story is also full of examples of those that reached out to help, those that risked their own lives in moments of intense crisis to save his, those that remembered their shared humanity, those that recognized how we are responsible for one another. And so when I think of my grandfather's story and the legacy of my family, I think about that. And some days it's harder to sit with than others, how we are responsible for each other in this world. It is the ongoing work of every day to use our voices to speak out against prejudice and hate and injustice. And we must also be honest and do the work to recognize when it starts to fester even within ourselves. We take a first step by sharing our stories with each other. And that, I think, is what I've learned most about being with my grandfather when he would tell his story. And now that he is no longer here, that in some ways I can help share his story, but most importantly, that he is still able to tell it in his own voice, especially with this documentary, when we no longer have as many survivors, firsthand witnesses to the Holocaust. But I've realized just how powerful our voices are. The power of sharing our stories with each other to understand where we are coming from, what our families have been through, the pain we sit with, and that actually telling our stories is maybe a small first step towards healing. When I would be with my grandfather, and when I go and do these programs now, sometimes people ask me what my grandfather would say about certain things, and I try not to answer those questions because I don't want to speak for my grandfather. I don't want to put words in my mouth now that he's no longer able to speak for himself. But I do know that he would often be asked, especially by young students, and he loved talking to young students, what is your message? Do you have a message? And I'm not sure if he had a message at first, but the more he asked, he kind of developed one over time. And so he would say this: do away with hatred. Hatred leads to death. There is a saying in the Torah where God tells Abraham, you shall be a blessing. And that's my message. That each and every one of us should be a blessing. We should do good in this world and be good to one another, to live a life with meaning and purpose, and do what we can to leave this world a better place than when we entered it. To try and help and not to hurt. And so I think about that when I think about my grandfather's story. I think of his message. And I think of his story contained in the music. You know, my grandfather's story and his music lives on in me. And whenever somebody hears his story or his song, it also lives on in them. And you can help share his story and his message. So I will leave you with, as my grandfather would, a piece of music that embodies that legacy and that message and that hope for a brighter future. And I thank you for inviting me to be with you today and to share some words and some music and to share my story with you. and to be Jewish with you, and to be in transcendent congregation with you. I'm going to play a song that was made famous by an Israeli singer, Ofra Haza, written by Ehud Manor. And the reason why I love this song and why I think it's so appropriate is because the chorus of the song goes like this in Hebrew. Zeh hashir shesaba shar etmol le'aba vehayom ani. And of course, as I mentioned, I called my grandfather Saba. That's grandfather in Hebrew. And I called my father Abba. That's father in Hebrew. And that's what the song says. This is the song that my grandfather Saba sang to my father Abba yesterday. And today I sing it. Chai, I am alive. Shim'u echai, ani od chai, ושתי עיניי עוד נישאות לאור, רבים חוכי, אך גם פרחי, ולפניי שנים רבות מספור. אני שואל ומתפלל, טוב שלא אבדה אותה תקווה. עובר מזמור מדור לדור, מעיין מאז ועד עולם. אני שואל ומתפלל, טוב שלא אבדה עונה תקווה. חי, 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 כן אני עוד חי. זה השיר שסבא שר אתמול לאבא, והיום אני עוד חי. אני עוד חי, זה השיר שסבא שר אתמול לאבא, והיום אני עוד חי. כן, אני עוד חי, זה השיר שסבא שר אתמול לאבא, והיום אני עוד חי. עם ישראל חי, זה השיר שסבא שר אתמול לאבא, אני.
Thank you, Avi, so much for bringing your story of your family, your grandfather and your father, and you to our community this evening. It means so much, and I'm sure we're all feeling close to you and close to each other after hearing these stories of a generation. So thank you very much. We are now going to move soon to conclude our service. We're going to turn now to page 586 for Aleinu, followed shortly by to 591. Please rise if you are able.
Aleinu l'shavet
Take Dulal Yotzer Breshit, Shelo Asanu Kegoye Haratzot, Velo Zamanu, Kamishpachot Adama, Shelo Samchakenu Kahem, Vegor Aleinu Kechoronam, Vanachnu Korim, Umishtachavim Umodim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד. ושמו Please be seated. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who have died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. In our community, we are remembering 3 who have died in the past 30 days: Richard Goldberg, Linda Southers, and Russell Stroll. We are also remembering those for whom their yard sites occur this week: Irv Adelstein, Dayton H. Ballas, Dr. Herman Bamberger, Dr. Harry Boehm, Phyllis Bauer, Mickey Berman, Mary Lou Casey, Regina Kronstein, Mary Farber, Robert Farber, Arthur Frankel, Charles J. Frund, Betty B. Frost, Ann Furness, Claire W. Gerber, Jean Gilbert, Nathan Goldman, Louis B. Goldstein, Louis Hatner, Ruth G. Hume, Billy Eiler, Alan Kaminsky, Libby Lacken, Tina Lieber, Edward Meyer, Richard Philip Moore, Eileen Pelletier, Harriet Pollock, Oscar B. Ralph, Louis Robinson, Samuel Russell, Mona Shodas, Rose Thal Smilak, Gladys Starsky, Lester M. Steiner, Matilda Stern, Sarah Dreyfus Tavel, and Harvey Weinman. If there are others that you're remembering this week and you would like to share their name, I would encourage you to do so now. The words of the Mourner's Kaddish are on page 598. Rise together as a community. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah be'alma divrach hirtei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agalal v'isman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mivarach le'olam olamei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yatadar, v'yatalev, v'yatalal, shemei kudusha, b'rechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. You may be seated. Before our closing song, I wanted to thank Marcy Canley and Daniel Perlman for bringing Avi to us this evening. And again, thank you, and thank you all for being here. We are going to conclude as we started with Ozi V'Zimrat Yah. The words are on page 647. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Please join us in the hallway for Kiddush and Motzi.